ask is, if we have to give these bastards our lives, we give them hell before we do!
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
But ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he didn't really mean that.
Half a stop before they do what I call nastiness.
I don't know what I said. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
Thieves were possessing weapons of mass destruction. 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al Qaeda.
Handle the truth.
I remember that with that smoke! We are still here!
We have to say yes to
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at a campground on this month of our Lord, MAGA month.
This MAGA month?
Independence Day, yes.
Do we go from gay month to MAGA month?
Yes, it's just slightly gayer than last month, actually, it turns out. But now we are in MAGA month where
MAGA month is gayer than gay month.
Just a little bit. Like, it's for those that aren't quite satisfied. They like the flags going, but the colors are a bit much. It's like the old gays. Like back before they stole all the colors.
Gotcha.
Patriots, I think you call it.
Same thing.
We're at a campground with Craig. What's up, Craig?
What's going on? Is this do we call these campgrounds?
Yeah, I think it's more like a trailer park, really.
Trailer park with fire rings, but
I mean, do you consider it camping when you're
No.
in a camper?
no, not.
I mean, it's like they called it a camper just so you would be fooled into believing that it was actually
Alright.
camping.
All right. So here's my theory: if you have to mow your own space, it's not camping.
Right. If
Yeah.
you have to mow at all, it's not
Yes.
camping.
Or if you if you have like a front porch,
Right.
it's not camping.
If you can lounge this loungily, as we're doing,
Well, this
it's
is-
not camping.
This is cabin life right here. This is like cabin setting. So this isn't so bad, but when you when you can pull your home onto
Right.
the property and build a stationary
I like the people that pay like $50,000-$60,000 for a camper. It's like
Just buy a
you're
fucking
just
house.
buying a smaller house.
Yeah, that could be a good down payment
And
on
living
a
in a less convenient location.
Yes. But there's wheels on it.
Right.
Well, half
It's
of them
better.
you probably
So
can't
it's-
pull.
it's
Probably
better.
don't move.
Yep.
I
Anyway,
never understood.
so I was gone for the last 2 weeks, and I have missed all the news for the most part. I've heard bits and pieces here and there, and usually, whenever I release an episode, you're like, "Shit, you released the same conversation that I just had. We should have
Yeah.
done it together."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Well, whoops," and then we don't ever do anything together. So now I am behind on the news, and you are probably also behind on the news.
I am. I'm looking now.
So
Did you hear this? Like abortion got banned. That's the last thing I talked about. So I've already had this
I
conversation.
haven't had this conversation
You
yet
haven't
since it
had
got
this
banned.
conversation.
Honestly,
abortion
I
is banned. There's no more abortion ever.
I talked about it. Like, to me, we knew it was going to happen. It wasn't
Did
that
we?
much of a surprise.
Wasn't it?
I mean, after the leak, it was pretty obvious to me.
But see, I was the opposite. I was like, that's not gonna happen. There's no way in hell. I thought it was like scare tactic leading up to
Yeah.
the damn what are these things called? The midterms coming up.
Fair.
So I swore that's what it was. I said on my show, I was like, there's no way. They're not gonna overturn. And then all of a sudden, last week sometime, like Wednesday or Thursday, I woke up and it's like, hey, Roe v. Wade got overturned. It's like, oh, that happened.
Yeah. So do you consider this a win?
The timing is terrible, in my opinion.
Why? Because you just got your wife pregnant?
No, not my wife.
Oh,
My
even
wife
better.
can't get pregnant. No, the timing's terrible because it's like the Democrats had no ammo going into the damn midterms. Yeah,
Pointed at your mouth.
It's moving up more if I point it this way. Maybe. I don't know. I can't see it this way.
Exactly.
The Democrats had like no ammo going into the damn midterms at all. And
Yes.
it's like the Supreme Court's like, here, have this.
Right.
It's like, have this thing that people people can like freak out about and go into. Can you even say the word hysteria without like going like?
I think that's ableism at this point.
Well, it's not. No. It reminds because they're already comparing this to 1950, like the women's rights of 1950s. So you know when women got sad and depressed back then, it was just like, oh, just stop being hysterical,
Right.
like everything was. So now I almost
She's
feel
just
like
hysterical
I feel like
about
that
not killing her child.
we can't even use that word because.
I say because of that we use it harder.
Yes.
Ladies, calm down.
Stop being so damn hysterical.
Don't get your panties in a wad.
I don't know. What do you think about it?
I think it's amazing that it happened in our lifetime. That
Yes.
The Republicans actually did something and pulled something off. Now, granted, it had very little to do with the Republican Party. It was just some guys who were like, "Hey, we're here and we're going to do this," because that's how the Supreme Court works. I'm pretty sure, but never thought it would happen in our lifetime, and also like, still not far enough. Like, I don't know. Like, even as a libertarian, I'm like, let's have the conversation. I'm open to whatever, but if you think that it's murder and you're passing it to the states, it's like, good, but also, are you saying that it is or isn't murder? Because if it's murder, then and you're outlawing it in some places, shouldn't you outlaw it everywhere if you consider it murder? If one state says murder is cool, and one state says murder is bad, does it make murder okay in some places and not in
I
other
think so.
places?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, the Constitution does it. Well, the Constitution does cover murder, actually.
Yeah. Pretty clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life,
Yeah. Is that what? Yeah.
liberty, and the
All right.
pursuit of happiness.
So
Bill of Rights, I believe. Something.
when the Supreme Court comes out, like the whole hysteria around this whole thing is the Supreme Court didn't ban abortion. The Supreme Court like basically said the whole thing where you said this is covered in the Constitution. Yeah, we think that's kind of bullshit. And so either do your jobs and put it in the Constitution or put it back to states. And so all of a sudden the legislation is like, oh, we vow to put this in legislation. It's like, well, if this was that big of a deal, why weren't you doing that in the fucking first place?
Right.
If it's kind of like executive orders. I know Supreme Court decisions are harder to overturn than executive orders, but all it takes is one highly, like, to one side Supreme Court to be like, yeah, no. And then it just goes away, just like that. Because all they do is say constitutional, not constitutional. And for whatever reason, they convinced in 1972, they're like, yo, but this is covered under the right to privacy. The right to privacy is what it's covered under.
Yep.
And from
Medical
there,
privacy.
it has just expounded to all this other stuff, that the whole due process stuff, things not covered in the Constitution. Well, it's more cut and dry in the 10th Amendment. Those not covered by this document, delegated to the federal government, shall be delegated to the states. So we have all this like, oh, how do we want to interpret this 14th Amendment bullshit for the abortion? But then there's this cut and dry 10th Amendment that sits out there that's like, actually, all this talk you're talking about the 14th Amendment, don't worry, we covered that over here. That all goes back to the states.
Yep.
So whether you're for abortion or not abortion, I don't have a problem with this decision.
It's not that difficult to get one. They're acting like it's the end of the world because they have to drive 45 minutes to get their abortion.
Oh. But first of all, you got to realize gas is $5 a gallon, so
That's
really
true.
expensive.
You got to blame Biden for that one too,
right?
Though,
so I mean, it's that much more expensive to get your abortion now because it's going to cost like $80 to get 45 minutes across the border.
I can't believe that Trump is doing this to us.
Secondly, I've been seeing all these reports that some states are going to ban interstate travel and arrest people for crossing the border to get abortions.
How are they going to do that?
How are they going to know?
You're going to have abortion checkpoints?
I think, yeah.
You seem pregnant, lady.
It's all this hysteria being just thrown around out there.
Well, it's absolutely made up. But
fucking wasp.
Yeah, I read a article this morning that, of course, the headline. So this girl, 10-year-old girl, was raped, and she was like, she was like
Ohio.
6 weeks and 3 days pregnant, and Ohio was like, well, you can't have an abortion because after 6 weeks, that's the cutoff point.
Yeah.
They're like, this is an outrage. You're forcing a little girl to have a baby. And but then if you read down a little bit, it's like, so she went to another state and had the abortion. Like, okay.
Shock. Yeah, she went to Indiana,
That's
which
some
is
oppression right there.
2 hours away,
Right.
maybe, depending on where you're at in Indiana. It might be 5 minutes away. I don't know.
Now, do you think that she should have had an abortion? Because for me, like on the rape and incest stuff, it's like that is awful, but also that life is another victim also.
yeah.
But for a 10-year-old, man, that's
rough.
It gets harder.
That's rough. Yeah, that's the point to me that I just still haven't. I don't know. I can't say, like, I don't support abortion either way. But a 10-year-old, I'm like,
for me, the question there is like not to, whatever. I don't know, not to victim shame or anything like that. But you waited 6 weeks after getting raped to get pregnancy tested or anything like that. Why did you not do that every day to make sure?
Or, I don't know, go plot.
Why did you wait that long?
Pop a Plan B pill the next day or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But where was I going with this? The whole thing, like, if you go and look at each and every state that has their own abortion laws in process, most of them do not include, like, most of them is like no abortions, including rape. There's no provisions for rape and incest. The only one that allows abortions for rape and incest is Utah because of all the Mormons there, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
but,
probably a lot of rape and incest.
Yeah.
Sometimes
freaking
simultaneously.
Yes. Anyway, so there's a few things here. If you look at the statistics, then I've talked about all this on my show. So if you heard my show and you're hearing this show, you're like...
They didn't hear yours, so you're fine.
There's like one. There's like one, I think. That was
Mom.
Yeah, probably.
And Sharon.
And Sharon, yes. I can't... Not Sharon. I can't call it her Sharon.
Why, afraid you're going to lose your favorite status?
No, I've been informed that her name is not Sharon.
And that's why you fail, because you listen to Sharon.
Anyway, but I'm still her favorite, and she's my one listener, so
yep.
that works. I can't lose my one listener.
So you're already selling out for one person.
Yes.
That was fast.
Absolutely. Already, it's been 2 fucking
Speaking of
years.
Sharon, today's episode is brought to you by C.D. McRae. Moved to Florida, a Polish Karen for Florida, because people pay me to harass my listeners to get them to do what they want. So, Craig, do you have anything? Have you been to Florida?
It is really hot, and
But
all the old people go there, so...
Yeah, I've named all the good reasons to move to Florida, like alligators, meth, wet heat, boomers, get to live in a wang, all these great attractions that they have.
Gotta be
Disney,
like old lady,
pedophiles and shit.
Old lady wet t-shirt contests.
I'm sure there's lots. I'm sure there's a lot of MAGA
Yes.
old people down there.
I know at least 2 of them.
Like Sharon.
Like Sharon.
So, CD, move to Florida for all of these reasons and much more.
Yes.
And have kids, put them in schools, because
Didn't
DeSantis will protect them.
Didn't CD
And I
just
think
move
he's
to
libertarian.
Texas or something?
Yeah, she moved.
That boss
She
really
moved around a
wants
bit. Good God.
How are you not freaking out more than you are?
He is all about me.
I think he's all about that.
Where'd he go?
That vape juice above your head.
Jeez. The show's over.
I hope this is all getting not edited out.
Craig, abortion. What do you think?
Daniel, where'd you go?
What do you need?
This show is brought to you by that fucking wasp. Anyway, what was
Show's yours, Craig. Take over.
Oh, no, I was saying, you can come back. It's gone. Ladies and
Sure.
gentlemen, welcome to the show. Dan Smott of the System is Down podcast.
Hey, insert applause. Thanks for having me, Craig. Nice
No problem,
to be here.
no problem.
Ah.
So, what I was saying was, if you look at like all the hysteria, again, that sexist term that we're not allowed to use, all the hysteria surrounding this has been, like, what are the main things you hear? Like, when it comes to abortion, what are the main things you hear?
Women will die because
Okay,
they can't get abortions.
Women will die. So
Yes.
health risk. Next
Yes.
one.
It's racist. I'm pretty sure somehow.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there
Then
something
there's the whole
specific you're
the
looking for
big
here?
one we just mentioned. Rape and incest.
Yes.
So
I like that
All right.
those are always the go-to because
Yes,
it's like, okay,
hysteria.
if we take those out, if we said, okay, you can have your rape and incest abortions,
Mhm.
are you fine with taking the rest away? And they're like,
Well,
no.
that's exactly where I went on my show, because all these states.
Hey, it's Kayla, everyone. A woman. You want to talk about abortion?
Oh, hey, are
You
you
are much
hysterical?
more
First of all,
qualified.
are you hysterical?
Hi, Kayla.
Am I hysterical?
Yes.
I'm very funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Agreed. She is hysterical. You're not allowed to say that name. Anyway, I lost. She interrupted. Okay, so you got the three talking heads: the women's health, the baby's health, and rape and incest. like the most, I guess, conservative numbers or liberal, I don't know, the highest percentage that you see. Like sometimes you see, well, that makes up less than 1%. The highest you see is that makes up 7.5% of all abortions. Right. The rest of them comes from, and it's funny they split this all up. It's like, wanted to finish their education, wasn't ready to have another kid, was done having children. Basically, all the other 93.5 or 92.5% boiled down to, I don't want a kid.
Inconvenience.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, again, like you were saying, well, you take all the states that are already having some sort of banning abortions. Yeah. Most of them have a provision for the health of the mother in there already.
Sure.
There's only...
And even with the health of the mother, what does that mean?
Like if it's like the risk, like the mother's life is at risk.
Person's is going to die.
Yes, yes.
But even in that scenario, why don't you, like if you... What is an abortion?
Well,
it's
I know.
Killing baby and then taking it out.
Well,
Once you take it out, and if it dies in the process, then at least you tried to save it.
I'm not talking right or wrong, whether you agree or don't agree. I'm saying the biggest arguments are those rape and incest and the health of the mother. So the health of the mother, most of the states already have a provision in there for it. And that was 7% was health of the mother or health of the baby. Less than 0.5% was rape and incest. So if we're all that worried, like you said, it's like, why don't we just push for a provision for the rape and incest to be in there? It's just like, well, if all the hysteria surrounds my 10-year-old daughter got raped, okay, push that legislation through instead of just across the board, blanket across the board.
The issue with that moving forward is that if only rape and incest is legal, or only rape and incest abortions are legal, then suddenly there's a whole lot more rape and incest. Yes,
yes, we're gonna start having a lot of sex with our sisters.
You'll have like a person 8 months pregnant who's like regrets, like the father left or something, so now it's suddenly a rape.
Yeah,
I don't know, like it would happen. Some people would do it.
Surprising to me that Missouri doesn't have a provision for rape and incest, because there's a lot of rape and incest.
It's true, but the more abortions you have, the less incest you can have.
That is fair.
Can't be killing off your clients.
It
anyway,
kind of cuts down that family telephone pole a little bit.
Shortens
it up a little bit.
Now, for me personally, it's like, as much as I'm like, cool, something happened, the Republicans finally got one, and I don't like abortion, great, and all that.
Right.
I'm also like, I wasn't planning on having an abortion anytime soon.
No?
So it's not that big a deal. Yes, it's great that more children will not be killed now. That's nice. No, it's just, I don't know. I can only talk about it for so long before I'm just like, yeah, cool.
Well,
good, less abortions. But the people that, I don't know, with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, now we have red states and blue states, and the red states will outlaw abortion, the blue states will have abortion, and most likely the blue states were the ones committing all the abortions to begin with. And there's
it's not most likely.
Well,
all right,
but I mean, there were probably very few red states, people in red states that were like, oh, I'm so sad that I don't get to have my abortions now. If they were that way, they probably already moved to blue states.
So this is.
So we're all going to be fine. You can kill as many babies as you want and just move 45 minutes left.
This was an interesting statistic. So roughly, America-wide, United States-wide, it was like 14% of pregnancies got terminated.
Bye, mystery person.
Bye.
That's a nice finger. She said just kidding, but I don't think she was.
I don't think she was either.
No.
It seemed very serious. So across the U.S., about approximately 14% of pregnancies end in planned termination. Abortions. Nice way of saying abortion. There it is again. That's a different one, though. That's why I wear hats.
How do you know it's a different one?
Because it was smaller. The other one was a lot bigger. Yeah, it's coming for vengeance on his father's death or something. I don't know.
I think this might be what people tune into these types of episodes for, so I'll just leave it all in.
14%. Again, we'll start. 14% of America's pregnancies end in abortion. In Washington, D.C., 52% of pregnancies end in abortion.
Well, it's for all that adrenochrome, Brett. I mean, you got to get it somewhere. Yeah. I guess it's hard to scare an infant or a fetus.
I don't know.
So,
my thought is
you need those facial creams and youth potions.
Well, my thought was all these like interns, like government interns that are getting like I don't know, raped and like forced, not like pressured
Monica
into
Lewinskys
sex.
of
Yeah,
the world.
Monica Lewinskys of the world. You know all those like. Have you seen House of Cards?
No,
Have you know
but many people
like
have
how the whole
told me how wrong I am for not seeing
shady
House of Cards.
background of it. It's just like there's a lot of sex with interns and a lot of saying you better fucking get rid of that baby. There's a lot of that in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
You know it. So yeah, and I think the biggest ones was like New York City or like Washington D.C. Like all these ones that are already like blue areas. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's going it's not going to be as much of a victory as the right wants to pretend, and it's not going to be as much of a. It's going to be even less of a Handmaid's Tale than the left wants to pretend. So you're all in hysterics, and that's fine.
Hysteria.
Do your thing, and I'm going to continue not killing babies, and I would prefer that you do the same. Let's talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. But before we do that, our next sponsor for today is LibertyPortraits.com. Go to LibertyPortraits.com and get one.
What is LibertyPortraits.com? And I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this like this was a planned thing. Like, Dan, what is? No,
Hey, Craig, I'm so glad you asked.
What the fuck is
LibertyPortraits.com
LibertyPortraits.com?
is Matt Miller's website. Matt Miller paints portraits of some of your favorite leaders in the Liberty Movement and many, many more. He paints pictures of like Dr. Robert Malone, John McAfee, even Darth Maul. Lots of different fun things.
Darth Maul and Liberty
Yeah,
Movement?
he is. He's more of like the left-leaning libertarian, but he's very chaotic and libertarian clearly at heart.
Not aware.
Yes.
Oh.
So go to check out those at libertyportraits.com and get some Liberty portraits.
No.
And impress your friends.
Is it alive John or McAfee or dead McAfee?
It depends on how you look at it. His eyes are open, and I'm pretty sure it is a painting of the portrait where he's holding the gun where he was still alive at the time, but there's no telling exactly when that was painted. It might have been after the fact.
Oh.
Which were you the one that brought up McAfee earlier?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, there's things that you know that I don't know
John
because
McAfee.
I've been out of the loop. So
John
what's
McAfee's
the update?
body, the Spaniards, as we call them here,
Obviously.
still because there's no question surrounding that he killed himself.
Well, no. It goes without saying
So
that
much.
a guy who posted many times and got tattoos about how he would never get suicided or would never suicide himself was that suicidal. And he said many times, if I kill myself, it wasn't me. But obviously, he was a bit of a prankster, so it was probably a joke that he was
true.
telling. Just a little funny one.
The Spanish people will not release his body. It's been
Shocking.
a year. It's been over a year. So it was June of last year.
Did they dump him into the ocean like Osama bin Laden?
That's exactly what I said. That was exactly.
Nothing to see here.
now-
Literally nothing to see here, folks.
Well, my whole thing was maybe John McAfee escaped and did run to Russia with Edward Snowden or something, and the Spanish don't want that embarrassment. So
Yeah.
they're like, let's just say he killed himself. But I don't think John McAfee's not the type that would Elvis himself and just stay out of the public eye. He would.
No, and
you'd
Janice has been pretty vocal about it, unless she was in on the whole thing. But that's her name, right? Janice?
I don't know.
His wife?
I don't
I
know.
don't remember. But yeah, I know enough people that were close to him that I'm convinced that he's not alive. At least.
Think so. But do you think he suicided himself?
I personally don't. There's a part of me that does, and actually, my favorite version of the story is my conspiracy theory that he did kill himself, but he killed himself as the final prank to live on his legacy
To make
forever.
people think he didn't.
So
kill him.
he told everybody for years, I'm not going to do this. I'm never going to do this. If I did this was somebody else. And he was this larger than life guy who said he would never kill himself. And then he gets arrested, knows he's going to spend life in prison. He's like, I have nothing left to lose. I might as well leave the greatest legacy of all time.
Yes.
We're still talking about him over a year
Yes,
later.
exactly.
It was just a year and about
And
a month
he paid
ago.
a guard to not
that he died.
release his corpse too.
Yeah.
He's paying off the Spanish. It's I'm gonna kill myself. Hey,
Hi. You're not on camera. You're fine. Yeah.
going to kill myself. Do not give my body back to my wife. No matter what she says, don't give
Right.
my body back.
Do not sell me to science. Yeah, I don't know. The dude was on all sorts of narcotics
No.
and drugs and
No. Didn't he
all sorts of things
Probably
his
was
entire
making
life.
his own drugs.
He lived a very full life, one might say, and it's a miracle that he lived as long as he did. And
Pull in a hammock. That's all I gotta say.
And if you don't know, you don't need to. Never find out about your hero's hammock habits. But he, I think he killed himself so that his legacy would live on forever. And we're still talking about him a year and a month later. So
it worked.
Kudos.
Success.
Yeah. But yeah, interesting that they're not releasing that, and not all that surprising, which, you know, it takes away from my theory, because why wouldn't they release his body if he did kill himself, and it proves their theory?
That's the whole thing. It's just like, if he killed himself, if it's that clear cut and dry, what are you holding this for?
Right, same as Bin Laden. It's like, you crazy people need to stop conspiracy theorizing about Osama Bin Laden. It's like, well, then just show us. You should have taken one picture. Well, the picture was too graphic for the internet. The internet. Because I've never seen anything graphic on the internet before.
I mean, we saw Saddam Hussein getting hung on the internet. Like his neck snapping on the internet.
Yep.
Somebody smuggled in a freaking cell phone.
In certain ads, It's not hard. Yeah.
You do?
I do.
Oh.
In certain political ads, when it's convenient. And I think it's in my intro to the anti-news stuff.
All right.
Anyway, is that it for McAfee?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the other side of the elitist spectrum, Ghislaine, and she just got 20 years in prison for,
20?
For running a pedophile island, and 20 years, which seems, I don't know, a little bit harsh to me.
Yeah?
Just kidding. No, they said, I heard that it was like the maximum she could get is 40 years going into it. So it was like, well, so the maximum you're saying is like way, way too low? I feel like the maximum should be like 2, 3, 4 life sentences.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, also her client list is apparently she was just grooming these kids for Jeffrey Epstein and herself.
Yeah, of course.
It was just like groom kids, and then we're gonna fly people out here to have business meetings and stuff. But the kids are only used for like these our personal hangouts.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
So I haven't read the article since she got sentenced, but I do know, is she serving it out in that crazy max
suicide facility?
Yeah, the horrendous facility where the power shuts off and there's rodents and they make it seem like
I'm sure
it's
she's very comfortable.
They make it seem like it's like Alcatraz of 19 whatever.
I'm sure she'll be kept just like the babies down in Gavin Newsom land. They will be kept comfortable, and then a conversation will be had, and we will decide whether or not to execute them.
So, the information I had heard was, and this was interesting, this was leading up to her sentencing, she had been put on suicide watch. And her lawyer's the one that announced that she had been put on suicide watch.
Yeah, the article I read was she was put on suicide watch, even though she said that she's not suicidal, but we're keeping an eye on her.
John McAfee said he wasn't suicidal.
Right. But for both things to be in a headline, it's like I said earlier, it's like you're this close to saying the entirety of the quiet part out loud. So she's on suicide watch because there might be a suicide, but she also said she's not suicidal. So we're keeping an eye on her.
She didn't even have a psych eval though.
Right.
So she says she's not suicidal, but there was no.
They feel like she's suicidal.
There's no psych eval to even say that they think she might be suicidal.
Well, you know what the one thing is that would put you on a psych or a suicide watch if you didn't have a psych eval?
Was it a visit from Hillary Clinton?
Yes. But no, it would be if you said that you were suicidal, but we've already established
that she didn't.
They established that she did not. They're not even going to pretend like she is suicidal. They're just going to pretend like she's about to die.
It makes you wonder.
By pretend, I mean they're telling us.
When you get away with something so many times, do they just throw it in your face to be like, so you know that it's them,
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's completely brazen at this point. Like, it used to be, like, conspiracy theory. I posted the other day, it's like, I don't talk about conspiracy theories anymore. I talk about news, because they're, that's just the new thing.
The same, yeah. Because,
Check this. Keep going. I'm just checking my time.
With Jeffrey Epstein, we all thought in our heads, he's probably going to kill himself. But we're like, they're not that stupid. I mean, this is so public at this point.
There's that we all thought he's probably going to kill himself, but we were already shocked that he was brought in at all.
Well, yeah, we were all shocked he was brought in at all, but we're like, like, I know at least for me, I was like, there's no way they're going to do something that obvious. Because it's
Right.
almost like the Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself hashtag came out as soon as he was arrested. Because that's just what happens to those people. So for them to be like that narcissistic, I guess, that they could think that they could get away with that. For Jeffrey Epstein, it's just like, I did not think that that would happen. I was
Here's
just
the
like,
thing, though. You say that's narcissistic, that they think that they could get away with it. But they're right.
no, I know. I know. That's just
It's not
it.
narcissistic. It's just,
But
we're going to get away with this, and we know that you guys won't do anything about it.
at the time, my thought was, that's not. It's not going to be suicide. It's going to be some freak accident or something like
Cancer,
that.
or
Yeah,
like,
something stupid.
like all the rest of the celebrities. Maybe
But
he
then
took
it
the
happened,
vaccine
and
or
it's just
something.
like, they just did that right in front of our fucking noses.
Yep.
And nothing happened. Nothing at all. So
And
then
they're
when
still
it came,
saying that you're crazy if you even mention the idea of
Oh, yeah.
Pizzagate or
Yeah.
anything like that.
So then the whole stuff about Ghislaine Maxwell come out, and I think my co-host Bill was like, "You think they do it again?" I'm like, "Yes,
Yes.
I do, because they did it that
Because
time."
it was impressively,
I know paparazzi.
it was impressively brazen the first time.
Yes.
Yeah, so why wouldn't they do it
Yeah,
again?
that's what I said. I was like, I didn't think it would happen with Jeffrey Epstein, but it happened. And so now when Ghislaine Maxwell comes out and they're like, "Hey, she's suicidal," yeah, probably they're that, like you said, brazen that they think that they're going to get away with it
She-
again.
Well, it's even worse now because they're saying she's on suicide watch and she's not suicide.
Yes, it's
Like,
not. And the funny thing was the article that
even the
talked.
lead up to it is more brazen.
The article that I had read was like, she's been put in, what do they call it? Like suicide clothes or whatever. So the toilet paper clothes. That
Right, that Epstein hung himself
Epstein, they
And
made
she's
sure
even smaller.
they made sure in the article to point that out
Right.
that she's in her
with. Well, he
suicide
hung himself
clothes.
with the bed sheets, right?
Yeah, but the
Same-
bed
same-
sheet in Suicide Watch, the
same
bed
idea.
sheets are the same cloth.
Right.
There's no like cloth that holds enough weight to do any of that. It's
You
all
would
like
know.
basically toilet paper.
Yeah.
So for them to mention that, they're like, "But don't worry, guys. Wink, wink. She's in her suicide cloth clothes. Wink, wink, wink." And it's like, oh god, here it comes.
Yep. So do you, if you had to put money on it, do you think that they will? I'm amazed that she's made it this far. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if she killed herself. I almost posted on the morning that she was going for sentencing
Yeah.
or something. I almost posted, as well as at Porkfest. I was going to post, prediction, Ghislaine Maxwell will never make it to her sentencing.
Yeah.
But it was the same day, so I was like, well, looks like we're getting there, at least.
Here's my thought. My thought behind it is
Yeah.
that Ghislaine Maxwell, I feel like they put that out like the day or two before. So maybe if she had any second thoughts about coming forward with something to lessen her sentence, like here's this warning out there, like Ghislaine Maxwell on suicide watch, and she's like,
Wait, what?
what? What are you talking? And she calls her lawyer, and she's like, "I never said that."
And then she pulled a Jussie Smollett and was like, I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. Did you see that when he got sentenced?
Yeah.
Right before he got released.
I think yes, I think I heard about
Yeah,
that.
I watched the court hearing when he got sentenced, and they gave him still piddly nothing sentence for wasting everybody's time and money. And on the way out of the courtroom, he was like, gives a speech. Even while he was off mic, he was like, "I am not suicidal." He's yelling it, and they're like, "Stop! Shut up! Shut up!" He's just begging for attention. If anything happens to me, just know. It's dude, nobody tried killing you the first time. Nobody gives a shit.
Nobody's even gonna.
Nobody even watched your show.
Nobody even knew who you were
Right.
until this.
Yep. Jussie Smollett also just showed up at, I think, the BET Awards on the red carpet or something.
And everybody's like, "Why are you here?"
Right. Read the room.
I thought you were dead.
Did you follow the Jussie story?
From at the very beginning, and then after that, I was just like, "No."
So do you know about the sentencing?
I don't know. I might
He
have heard
was
it.
sentenced to, I don't know, 6 months or a year, something
Time
ridiculous.
served.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It was 120 days or something.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, they were like, well, we're going to go with time served because he's already been here a while, even though I'm pretty sure he wasn't even locked. I think he was on house arrest. I could be wrong. But either way, there's your white privilege for you right there.
Yeah, right.
It's you got a nothing sentence. You faked your own hate crime. You got a nothing sentence, and then you got out of
And how
even serving that nothing sentence.
how much money was like thrown away in investigating this.
You
here.
shouldn't sit out here. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, because we're
'Cause we're having adult
we're
conversations.
rather inappropriate.
Yeah. No.
Oh, Mom's wrong in
She's
this
wrong.
opinion.
Sorry. Maybe later. You want to join us? We can. If you will come on camera, we will have less adult conversations. If you want to talk.
That's true. It's fair. It's fair.
Oh, are you sure? You can. You can eat your grapes on camera.
And the cheese.
And cheese. It's very high class.
Mm-hmm. It was a cheese stick
Mm-hmm.
and grapes.
Yes, it's high class.
Yeah.
For this campground.
Oh,
This
that
trailer
is
park,
true.
It's high class.
I mean, can we talk a little more about this campground?
I mean, if you want, but
I-
the people that run it might see it. So, it's up to you.
And it's great though. It's just like classy.
It's really cool. I do wish that this campground had, like, things.
Things.
Yeah.
I was wishing
like a lake.
like this.
at its hidden lake.
Okay, so this is the one thing I feel like we can talk shit about this freaking campground without
The cabin is very nice.
the
I will
cabin.
say.
I love this cabin.
I wouldn't stay anywhere else.
I was really. You've stayed in tents here before.
I haven't. I wouldn't do it again.
I am.
Because I
doing
probably
it.
wouldn't stay in a tent anywhere ever again.
Why?
Why?
Because you're gay.
I don't have. Wait, what? That's why I should or shouldn't?
I don't know. I like camping. I like walk out to nowhere and like set up a tent in nothing and camp. Anyway, the only gripe I have about this campground, and if the owners or the owner's daughter, you know who you are, is listening, I mean,
I think the owner's daughter is still a Downers Club member.
Yes.
I could be wrong.
I feel like if you don't know this already, you should know. If a campground is called a Hidden Lake Campground, one would anticipate that there is a
It's
hidden
very,
lake,
very hidden.
a lake that you would be able to find here.
No.
No lake, no
Yeah.
lake anywhere to be found.
Yep. Now I wonder, like, because I think it was called Hidden Lake before they purchased the campground.
It was.
Was it?
No, there used to be a
Called-
lake, and they like
I know
lost
that
the permit or something, and they like took down the dam,
Yeah.
and so the lake turned back into a little creek.
Right, but even when the lake was here, I know where it was and all that, but why was it hidden?
I don't know. Because
Did they name it like when it was like depleted and it's like it's there still somewhere?
There used to be a lake. It's underground.
It wasn't that hidden if it was where I'm thinking it was.
I don't know.
By the
I don't know.
fireworks.
Maybe you couldn't see it from the road, and so it was
Yeah.
hidden.
So let's talk about it's 4th of July weekend. That's why we're out here. We
Mhm.
need to talk about some Independence Day stuff. Before we get into the real Pride Month and the gay stuff, let's talk about something else gay, which is Jack Casey Books. Go to jackcaseybooks.com
That is gay.
and get Gay Books by Jack Casey. Well-known libertarian author, making him double gay. Go to jackcaseybooks.com. He's got the Royal Green series, which I hear are long and gay. And then there's his latest, WVW, which he's working on the second one right now. And it's about a transsexual slayer of COVID vampires. And
Is this real?
is actually very real.
Transsexual.
You're going to have to read it to
Slayer
find out.
of
Are you
COVID.
intrigued? It's only like 100 pages long. And I read it before it came out. I was like, I'm going to read this thing. I'm going to promote it. And
I
we
am
did some stuff
intrigued.
together. It's good. It's
That
good.
is really gay.
It's dark comedy. It's got libertarian underlying themes, but it's a lot about the COVID regime and stuff that's happening in our world today with a fantasy twist to
Oh.
it, where things are called different things, but it's a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor and stuff like that. So check it out now at jackcaseybooks.com and get your Pride Month books.
Get your gay on.
That's right. So, speaking of Pride Month, it's Pride Month 2 now, and
2.0.
we have replaced the rainbow flags with slightly lesser rainbow flags.
The American flag.
Oh, that's the one. Yes. I am curious. While I was at Porkfest, I purchased it's like a little woodworking sign. I posted it this morning. You guys can see it on Twitter, and I'll show Craig right now. But
Okay.
I'll just share it with you, and then you can read it out loud. And I want to talk about it a bit. But I purchased this at Porkfest.
Okay.
Read it out loud.
Here, everybody needs to
They
see
won't
it.
be able to see it.
Yeah, they can.
I'm sure they cannot.
The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
And it's like a pretty woodworking thing where if you just walked by it, like, I bought it and I told Kayla that I got you something, but if you don't want it, that's fine because I want it. But like, this would be funny to like hang in our dining room because if you just like glance at it, it looks like pretty decor or
Yeah.
something. But then you read it and you look closely at it, it's like somebody like stabbing a tyrant in a tree and bleeding, but it's like woodworking. Maybe I'll post the picture, but I probably won't. You guys can go find it at TSIDpod on Twitter. But she was like, okay, I'm sure that would look great in your office, honey.
No, it would look great in the dining room.
That's
area.
what I said.
Yes.
But what are your thoughts on that, Craig? Because I don't remember who the quote's by, but it's one that goes around a lot in the libertarian stuff. Do you think that the tree of liberty must occasionally be watered by the blood of patriots and tyrants?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Now, explain.
I mean, you'll probably get kicked off YouTube for saying any of this stuff. I'm already off, so I don't give a shit.
I think anything against patriotism at this point is considered good on
that's
YouTube,
true.
so we should be safe.
So I feel like my opinion of patriotism, like maybe is slower evolving than yours, because I was in the military and all
Yes.
that shit. But I don't feel like things. This is hard. I don't necessarily feel like my opinion changes. I think maybe like definitions and stuff change.
Yeah, sure.
Like, the more I read, like, I don't know, Raylene, I know she listened to you, talk about things like the Declaration of Independence. I've never thought two thoughts about that until, like, people like that in like forums post, like, so we're getting our kids to memorize the, like, declaring allegiance to, like, a flag of the government, basically. And it's just like
some brainwashing shit right there.
Yeah,
Pledging allegiance to a flag that represents whatever the government feels like it representing at the time.
and so
From the time you enter the public school, you are pledging allegiance
to the flag
to the
of the
cult.
United States
Yes.
of America,
To the murder
to
cult.
the republic for which it stands. But is it one nation under God, or is it just one nation?
I don't even know if it's one nation anymore.
Or is it just? I'm not sure. So, I guess, is it patriotic to pledge allegiance to the country? Is the real question.
By their definition.
By their definition,
Sure.
yes. By your definition, is it patriotic to?
Well, I think we need to start by defining patriotism, I suppose. And I go back and forth and can see both sides of the patriotism thing, where I'm like, yeah, if things could go back to, like, even the old statist ways of, mostly, I feel like in our childhood, it had its problems, but and a lot of the problems were more overseas at the time than they are now. But if we could go, I don't know, it seems selfish to be like, if we could go back to where we're only bombing other people and only going to war with other people, like,
Can we go back to 9/11?
it was a
please?
simpler time. Maybe it was just because I was a
Just
child, but
bombing the brown people.
like, if we could go back to then and also get out of the wars and shit,
Yeah.
that'd be ideal. But patriotism, like, as far as that quote goes, like, I agree with it, because, like, if your government is tyrannical, if your like, your state is evil, and you are a patriot, like, you are, I don't know, dedicating yourself or your loyalty to that thing, even if it is corrupt, then I think that that's a problem. And that corrupt thing only stays in power if you are a patriot supporting it.
It's so, like, almost confusing to talk through, because, like, there's patriotism that's patriotic to the system, and then there's patriotism that is patriotic to
an
the idea.
Yes.
The ideal of, like, liberty and freedoms and all that stuff.
All the things that we say, and zero people even seem to understand the
Yes.
definitions of.
Yes. All, like, individual liberties, individual rights, the things that the
Hang out here,
Declaration...
you'll get called a commie if you're not, like, yay Trump. So,
Sure.
like, that kind of patriotism, I'm like, that's also dangerous, just as much as dedication to Biden.
Yeah, so it was weird, because at one point in time, like, early Trump era, it was just like, because it was like patriotism, like post 9/11, it was like patriotism, like everybody was patriotic, and
Yeah.
if you weren't, you were brown.
9/11 was a hell of a drug.
Yes.
And it really inspired a lot of people to
Well,
think
then,
that war was necessary.
then the Trump thing happened, then patriotism turned into white supremacy. If you were a patriot, you were a white supremacist.
Right.
And
It's not that either.
well, no, and for me back then it was just like we're like we're misdefining, if that's a word,
Right.
patriotism, because we're like identifying it now as white supremacy. And
Right.
For me,
it's
it's
like
just
you want to support it now because it's the counterculture thing to be
Yes.
like the norm is to be anti-patriotic, and I'm like, yeah, I am patriotic because you don't like it, and I like.
and
you know,
because it's not white supremacy. It's,
Well, yes,
and
it's almost
yeah,
like they're pushing people into the arms of patriotism,
Right.
and pushing them into supporting the state and being like, once Donald Trump gets in there, we're gonna, which I think is all part of the plan, get Donald Trump back in there, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
we're all gonna be like, yay, go back to we're safe now, and this guy's gonna take care of us, even though he
Right.
doesn't give two shits about you.
So, what's your definition then of patriotism? Is it the adhering to ideals, or is it adhering to the system?
It's like the difference between like Toby Keith patriotism and Tom MacDonald patriotism. Like Tom MacDonald can like call out the bullshit in the system and also be like, we need to all come together and unite against
Right.
the system and stuff. Like I think that is patriotic as far as like, as much as I don't like collectivism or anything. It's like if we can unite against a common enemy, which is the state, then that is, I consider that patriotic, and I think that's a good thing. And that is like this. Our entire country was founded on an insurrection, and now that is considered like evil and the most satanic evil thing that you could possibly do. Like I am, of course, down with patriotism. That's like we need to make this thing better and keep moving forward or whatever. It's same as like progressivism. I can agree with the term progressivism. I think we should be moving forward and overcoming new
the
obstacles.
whole concept
but the
there
whole
is
thing
moving
fucking-
forward.
Yes.
The whole concept there is moving forward, and progressivism does not move forward.
Absolutely. Moves backwards.
We can't
Yes.
even. We can't. That's a whole nother episode.
It is, but I'm just saying, I bring that up because like I have issues with both, and I think
Right.
on the surface level I can agree with both, but actually maybe patriotism more on the surface level I disagree with more, because the surface level patriotism I think is what most people consider patriotism, which is like wave your American flag, otherwise you're a commie. It's like no,
This is
don't
in 1986.
wave your American flag upside down in black and white if your country sucks.
Yeah.
Like you should, like the Republicans are all against like cancel culture and all that shit. It's like, but
They're do-
Republicans were the ones that started cancel culture.
And it's-
They were the ones that
yeah.
were like slapping like parental advisories on things back in the day and saying that this rap and that stuff is dangerous. Marilyn Manson shouldn't be allowed.
Back to the commie days. They were the ones that started the freaking Red Scare, the whole blacklist and all that stuff. That came from right wingers. That
Yeah.
was, cancel
they're both
culture
retarded.
started with the blacklist back in Hollywood and in Washington D.C. back in the 1950s or whatever. And
the problem
as
with
much
both
as
of
I
them-
hate communism, that it's the same damn thing on the flip
Right.
side.
Well, yeah, and it's like I can see all like communism, patriotism, all these isms, everything on the surface level on paper. I'm like, I understand that.
Yes.
Even communism on like a smaller scale, like Cornerstone was communism. Porkfest is
Absolutely.
communism.
Yeah.
It's like communities like helping
Community
each other
level,
out
yeah.
and interchanging
At
with
the
each other.
local level, that's fine.
Right, but once you get outside of like as soon as you get past like 20 to 50 people,
It doesn't work.
well, the problem is
Nothing
that
works.
they all have to agree on a common good, and they can't do that, which is why democracy doesn't work that great. But
True.
so yeah, all of these things I think aren't evil on their own, but the people that get into them not only corrupt them, but there are certain ones like communism that I think are more easily corruptible because they have to force you into having a common belief
Right.
in communism. I'm not sure if I answered any of your questions.
Did I
but,
have a question?
I don't know.
So I guess it comes back to like the quote there. Is it patriotic then to shed the blood of the patriots, quote unquote patriots, or tyrants? Which is which?
I
Which
could-
is which at this point?
Right. I could argue that the blood of quote-unquote patriots could lead to a more freer society, a more liberty society.
So what? And I've asked people
And
this
that
question.
goes for left and right, because right now I would say that by the definition of patriot, like if we're talking like somebody who supports the regime, the system, the whatever, like the Democrats are the patriots right now, whether they have called that term white supremacist or not. They're the ones that are supporting the system, so they are technically patriots because they're more like, yay, America's great
Right.
because we've got this guy in office. It's like, I'm not saying that you guys should like kill him. I'm definitely not saying that.
Don't ever.
Do not take this as sarcasm because I'm not saying that. But at the same time, if there was like a dictatorial, tyrannical uprising and there were people who were like, we have to go along with this system, then
Goodness.
at some point, at what point do you say, if you are trying to bring a, like an evil agenda like communism, and if you're trying to influence our society with that, you're kind of an evil person.
right. So I guess and I've asked this question.
Or white supremacy, for that matter.
Yes. I've asked this question to multiple people, and nobody gives me like a real solid answer, and you probably won't either, and I don't necessarily have a real solid answer. It's like, where's that fucking line of bloodshed? Like, what is your line? Because I feel like they've got this down to a science where it's like, well, if we just keep taking a little more, and a little more, people just roll over a little more. And everybody says, this is my line. You come for this.
Until that line comes.
Until that line comes.
COVID was everybody's line until it happened.
Yeah, lock me in my house, and I'll come out guns
You come and take it. I'll shoot you. But you can, make it so I can't work at all.
Oh, and afford the bullets
Make
to
it
shoot
so I
you
can't go to my grandmother's funeral.
Right.
That's fine. But I promise, when you come for those guns, and then it's like, well, Trump banned bump stocks. Well, you come for my guns. Well, AR-15s are next, and then we're going to be like, well, if you come for the rest of my guns, then I'm going to really do something.
So do you think it's all talk and conjecture, or do you think, because everybody talks, and I've talked about it, like what are the odds that a civil war actually happens? And like now that this abortion stuff came down, and people are like, well, we're even more divided on this topic now. Do you think anybody actually ever comes out and fires a shot on this?
No.
Do you think anybody gangs up or
yes.
rallies up and
I think they already have. Shots have been fired over this political division and everything that's been going on over the last 2 years. They've already been fired. So at what point do you say we're in a civil war, is my question. People have been shot over this thing.
Fair.
Just because there wasn't, massive gunfire. They took over, Chaz was, taking over a section of a city at armed gunpoint. And
declaring this, we're not part of your country anymore.
Right. And
we're seceding, basically, because they called themselves autonomous from everything else.
Right, and you can talk about January 6th, and you can make an argument that that's that's a start of Civil War too. I think that's way overblown, obviously, as I've mentioned many times, but the May 29th thing where, the I think it was the BLM people stormed the Capitol and burned down the church and all that stuff that nobody talks about. It's memory hold entirely. It's
May 29th of this year?
I don't remember which year. I think it was this year. Something. Yeah. I don't know. 529. Whenever they say January 6th, we say 529.
I've never heard this.
Yeah, look into it. There's a bunch of stuff, but I haven't dug into it in a while. I think it was either this or last year. I don't know. Time is no meaning anymore.
529 would have been 4 weeks ago.
Right. It would have been last year then.
I was going to say.
It seems like it wasn't that long ago, but I guess it was about a year ago. Holy crap. But, there was... I don't know. There's just... At what point do you say we are in a civil war? I think that we always said, when there's even with the Ukraine stuff, we always said if there's a World War III, it'll be completely game changing and revolutionizing because we will be able to see everything because of the internet, because of phones and all this and that. But it's only made it so now we can see everything, but that also includes we see mostly propaganda, with Ukraine and
Sure.
even with January 6th and stuff. All we see is we see it all, but the only thing anybody talks about is the propaganda. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really change anything.
And that's interesting to me. And the thing with this quote unquote civil war also is it's not a war between the states or anything. Yes, you're going to have different red and blue states, but it's a war of ideals that are so spread across everything. So say a freaking riot broke out in
Portland.
Portland, sure.
I mean, obviously,
And,
they're going on right now. I think it's a
1,000
weekly
people
thing.
got shot and killed back and forth. Well, that's still, there's no clear-cut lines here, so it's not that's the Civil War here.
Right.
No, that was just
We're not declaring
violence.
civil war.
No, well, we barely even declare them riots anymore.
No, they're peaceful. They're mostly they're fiery yet mostly peaceful protests. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's if
you can
lots of
whitewash-
people have died back and forth
Yeah.
between more so from one than the other, but in all the riots on both sides, at what point do you say this is a war, and what would constitute a civil war at this point?
Do you think maybe more clear-cut leadership in it? Because there's nobody.
Well,
that's
as Biden says, Antifa is just an idea. It's not an
Antifa.
organization.
Well, no, but then Trump said basically Antifa was I feel like they're both so far outside of what Antifa actually
Right.
is. Like,
It's a terrorist group.
Biden-
No, it doesn't exist. No, actually, it's just a bunch of like yuppie rich kids who have nothing better
Sure,
to do that
right.
go burn shit down for the fun of it.
yeah, but
that
if you
shop at Hot
polarize
Topic.
it, then nobody finds out exactly what it is. Then it just becomes like a boogeyman.
Right. Well, the whole thing is divide and conquer, and I think Civil
Same
War
with
is
Proud
exactly what they
Boys.
want. Yes. Well, all of them, except for like whatever the Patriot one. What's that new one that just got busted?
I don't
Did you
know.
see this?
No.
It's like Patriot something. Patriot, not Patriot Prayer.
Sounds
it's a guy.
made up.
I don't remember the name of it, but there was like a bust where they stopped, I don't know, like 10 guys in this like white supremacist group going to a pride march
Sounds
and
made up.
everything. They were all wearing the exact same like khaki pants and blue shirts. They had a uniform, and they were wearing white masks over their faces so you couldn't identify them, with sunglasses over those. They had backpacks on and stuff. And there's these it definitely happened, because you can see the clear-cut pictures where the cops had them, they were in a circle on their knees, and they were handcuffed or like zip-tied, and they still had their backpacks on, they still had their masks on, they still had their sunglasses on, and I mean,
Sounds made up.
I heard that one of them had like, I think it was bear spray or something.
Bear spray.
One of them had something like that, yeah.
Oh. 'Cause,
And we wanted to protect their identities.
oh,
'Cause-
why?
I don't know, but,
What?
you know,
what,
they're definitely not feds. I'm
If
sure.
this actually happened, what are we protecting their
happened.
identities from?
It happened, but,
But
we
what
need to
are
protect
you-
their identities. Exactly.
But we don't protect identities
Just,
from people that
just
things actually happen. Like they
10
release
mini
things
Ray
like
Epses.
immediately.
You know about Ray Epps, right? January 6th?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. It's,
You know, the one that everybody knows his name, and he did like instigated so much, but he's the only person out there that doesn't have any kind of indictment on him.
and every
That-
time it's brought up, every time in Congress they ask, like, were there feds involved? They're like, well, we're not allowed to talk about an ongoing investigation.
Well, that
if
goes.
it was a no, you would have said no. So
Yes.
that's a yes.
Well, like this whole thing's an ongoing investigation
Right.
that we're talking about.
That's kind of
so
the
why
point.
can't we talk about any of the rest of it? And that goes back to who was the Michigan person that like supposedly got. There was the kidnapping plot that turned out to be mostly led
Yeah.
by feds too.
Whitmer.
Then nobody even talks
It
about
was
that shit
feds.
anymore.
Yeah, it was like 7 out of 9
Yeah,
people were
well,
feds.
and that were like paying people provisions, like hotel provisions, and like offering them like dinner and stuff, like
Right.
these fancy dinners to like come and show up. Oh yeah, we will. If you want to do this, I mean, we're not saying you should do this, but if you want to do it, we'll put you up in this sweet ass hotel and we'll pay for this dinner.
Right.
And that was the feds that were enticing that, and they're like, like I get that there are crazy people out there, I get that. But most of, like 99.9% of the crazy people are just going to sit behind their keypad and be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this.
Until a predator comes along and is like,
Until
hey,
somebody's
you're
like-
feeling bad about yourself, right?
Yeah, until
What if we
somebody comes
kidnap
out and is like,
Governor Whitmer?
what if I pay all the freaking resources to get you here to do this? Would you still do it? Well, yeah, because 99%
course.
of them don't have the money to freaking even fly out because they're sitting
Right.
in their mom's fucking basement and
Right.
typing this shit up. And they're like,
All the white supremacists
Yes.
in the world, all 12 of the white supremacists are sitting in their mom's basement waiting for George Soros to come along and be like, hey, I will fund you to go to this rally and
Absolutely.
and stir up a ruckus.
yes, and yes, those people probably were by like their mindset,
And
white
if they're able to
supremacists.
be manipulated into being that retarded, they're probably able to be manipulated into acting on it if they
Yeah.
were given the right amount of money. So, yeah.
Is
If
it
the
right-
right rich person comes along and looks into a white supremacist group and is like, hey, you seem angry, bet we could use that.
It's kind of like if you like found this group of white supremacists that like kind of dabble in like weapons and stuff, and you're like, hey,
They're called libertarians, I'm pretty sure.
Well, they
JK, LOL. ROFL.
so say there was
LMAO.
this known white supremacist group, and you like walked in, you're like, hey, can you like saw off this shotgun for me? It's 58 minutes,
Yeah, I know.
and
You
they're
gotta
like,
reset it
no,
every
that's
30
illegal.
minutes.
And then you're like, but how do I saw off a shotgun? And you were like, here, let me cut that off for you.
Right. Or
And-
how do I make a bomb? And they're like, here's how you make a bomb. And then they're like, you're making bombs. I'm going to arrest you.
That was Ruby Ridge, is what I was getting at there.
Yes.
So.
That's true.
So I mean, there's so many examples of more of the feds dragging someone. Yes, I get that people like kind of lean, they're kind of teetering there, but then a fed like comes and like pushes them off. It's just like, whose fault was it that he fell? Like if I'm walking up here like on this railing right here. Yes, I'm probably being fucking stupid. But if you walk up and like shove me off, who is responsible for me falling off there? Yes,
Well, you were
no, I
walking
should
there.
not have been walking up there. But no, you probably shouldn't have pushed me off either. Like, who's the most
Or,
responsible?
More so, if you were like a crazy suicidal person that was considering jumping, and you're like, I might jump, and then they walk up to you and they're like, buddy, you have nothing worth living for. You're a piece of shit. You're a
Right?
white supremacist scumbag. Go make that jump. You have no reason to live.
And then
like
you
that's
jump.
literally what they're doing. They're saying
Yeah.
you have no reason to live. Go do it, and
Then
they
you
get their
jump,
story.
and they're like, you see that? He was suicidal.
Yep.
He was suicidal all this time.
Yep. Happy 4th of July,
Yeah.
everyone. Which brings us to Asteros. Asteros cybersecurity services. Go to asteros.com where they do penetration testing. Craig, any thoughts on penetration testing?
I don't want to be penetration
Speaking of, we should have brought this up during the abortion topic, but Craig, any thoughts on penetration testing?
Sounds like anal probing.
Yes, it's more of a Pride Month issue.
Yeah.
Well, maybe less of a Pride Month issue than it is a MAGA issue. But Asteros cybersecurity penetration testing. I know that's not
So much gayness in this
the
episode.
penetration testing isn't actually part of the headline, but it's a part of the tagline that it's all I can think of anytime they come up. But they will hack your computer to find all the holes. They will plug your holes. They will fill them
They'll
to
probe.
max capacity, and they
They'll
will
probe
make
them.
sure.
They'll plug them. They'll stuff them. They'll do everything you want to your holes.
That's right. They will run train on.
You'll do
all
things
of your,
you don't want to your holes.
All of your cybersecurity holes, just like Brett Kavanaugh. They will drink a beer and run train on them. Go if that sounds appealing to you, then go
It
on over
does.
to asteros.com and sign up for a free something. I think it's a free audit.
Something.
Free audit, and my sponsors love just how much I know about them.
They plug holes.
That's right. They penetration testing, I think, is the key point here.
Do it.
Asteros.com. They get a full minute. So, Craig, do you have any other words of wisdom on cybersecurity and penetration testing and plugging holes?
Nothing screams like cybersecurity,
holes?
like plugging holes. I mean, you stuff them, you roll them, you plug them, all those things. You fill them.
Craig,
Fill
have
them
you
holes.
ever had any issues online? Like maybe you have a website that you're afraid of somebody hacking, or you're thinking about buying a domain. And
You see, I've never been afraid of it happening, but
Until
then
it happens to
happens,
you.
and then it happens to
Right.
you. Like you go and you're like, I got this really fantastic idea.
Fantastic. quote unquote.
Fantastic, quote unquote idea. I'm gonna start this thing, and I've got this domain name thought out, and I put a lot of thought into this, and then you run it by a bunch of people. Then all of a sudden, those people turn into
Those people say, "Hey, you should buy that domain name before somebody else buys it underneath you, because that's what happened to them."
and then
you're,
8
they're
seconds
trying to
later,
be nice to you.
8 seconds
You're like,
later,
maybe I will
it's
sometime.
bought out.
What?
And then 8 seconds later, that person buys it out.
That happened to me, but it wasn't bought out by a friend that would sell it to me later. Well, actually, I take that back. It was bought out by a friend. I don't know his name, but he tried selling it to me later for $1,000, and that was very,
Holy
very
shit.
nice and generous of him.
For
Because I know
$1,000?
that goulashmedia.com is something that is very hot commodity that everybody would want. Goulashmedia.com.
That was a friend?
No, I mean it was a cyber friend. He pretended like he acted very friendly when he tried to sell it back to
Ah.
me afterwards, and I'm like, you hold on to that.
Goulash
bud.
Media.
See how many other people are interested in goulashmedia.com.
Did he ever sell it
The
back
dumbest name for a business ever. Go
to you?
ahead
It
and
is
try
the
and sell it.
dumbest name for
Yes.
a business.
So if you want that kind of help, I think
I don't know.
probably not that, but
Not
other
that
things,
specifically, but things similar to
very,
those.
Very similar.
It's very
similar.
like, I mean, we're in the ballpark
Yes.
of the things that they can plug your holes
Right.
for, but not specifically that. But that is a great, not good example.
And if so, asteros.com.
You are
So,
you're terrible at plugging your sponsors.
Small businesses and things, check them out. And if you know somebody with a small business,
I know somebody with a small business.
who?
You.
Oh, well. Again, I probably should have Asteros come along and examine my holes and
Yeah.
test my penetration and
Yes.
plug up whatever they can. But that's enough. That's enough of that. What else is happening in the world today, Craig? It's been a long time
I don't
that I've
know.
been devoid of the news.
My dogs need let out, and
Your dogs
so
are
it's
fine.
about time.
It's
to
been
hit.
like
I got the text. It's been an
It's
hour
even
and
been
4.
two. Yeah,
It's been an hour and 4 minutes.
Dogs are fine for like 4 or 5
Yeah,
hours.
But they're in a tent.
Well, they're not in a kennel?
They're in a kennel in a tent.
So what's the problem?
It's hot out. And I have a wife, mostly. That's it right there. That's the biggest. That's the detail I left out. I have dogs.
New
they're in a
information
tent,
has come to light.
and
That
I have
makes
a wife.
More sense.
With a cell phone, no less.
Excuse me. So, on the topic of patriotism, I feel like we should wrap somewhere in the vicinity of the 4th of July, as
Obviously.
this is the 4th of July episode.
How far are we from the original 4th of July mindset of people?
I mean, we are...
Not us, but as a country. How far
even from a
have we
conservative
deviated from...
I honestly find it a little strange that we, shoot off bomb-looking things into the sky and are like, yay, bombs! To celebrate...
You're surprised about that, though?
No, I mean, it's
we
just
bomb brown people, and we're like, yay, bombs!
Sure, but I mean, it's something like I film weddings also, as you know, and things like the garter toss and the boat, or not the garter toss, but the garter toss is creepy as shit, and the dollar dance and stuff like that. These old traditions that we just do, it's like
turning your
we're
daughter
celebrating
into a stripper dance.
We're celebrating. You just got married by whoring out your wife for $1 per dance,
pretty
which
much.
is even low for a single woman. It's kind of like that, where it's like, I don't know.
Hi.
You can go in. It's fine. You're not on camera.
But
Just
you
walk
are.
in. Just make it faster than slower.
Go.
It's kind of like that, where it's like, I understand the idea, but it's also weird that we have these traditions. It's like if we celebrated the end of slavery by hanging a black man or something. It's just I don't know. It's weird.
Or a giant hairpick, Black Power statue. Just weird.
You want to get into a different topic?
No, I don't, because I don't got the time. But anyway.
You seem like you want to.
No. So back to my
how
question.
was your Juneteenth, Craig?
How far are we?
Do you find it
No.
ironic that Juneteenth, the black holiday, landed on not only Father's Day, but during Pride Month?
Oh, that's horrible. I'm not even going. I'm not getting into it. So I guess back to my question: how far have we deviated from 1776, July 4th?
For better and worse, we have deviated very, very much.
How far better?
I
Besides
mean,
the fact
life
that we
is
live so
certainly
much
more
comfortable.
comfortable in all of our white oppression, or whatever you want to call it,
Fair.
or even just modern day oppression of any kind. Even any minorities, gays, whatever.
And we don't have to worry about dysteria or whatever. What's the dysentery? We don't got to worry about dysentery.
Right.
Nothing like that. Like the Oregon Trail diseases, as I call them.
Yep.
So I guess for the better there.
We're doing okay
because of vaccines.
It's hard to honestly be like, oh man, we're
Missed that
really
one.
struggling right now, because we're doing all right, especially with all of our white privilege. We're doing pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
But no, I think we've fallen a long way as far as I don't know, just agreed upon morality and agreed upon society, and there are things that were considered straight degeneracy that now, if you don't love and embrace them, you are considered a heretic against the religion.
Against these United States of America.
In a way, yeah, because the United States of America is all about
all inclusivity.
Everything is good.
It's all on the table.
Yeah.
Morality is racism, and
it's
truth
just funny
is
that we're
truth is what's the word? Truth is relative, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Just even as far as Pride Month, I don't care if you're gay, but stop pretending like you're oppressed when you're parading through the street naked. It's not oppression.
I can't do
I'm
that.
I'm not doing that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't legally do that.
Right.
I don't know if you should or shouldn't do it. I'm not saying
time.
either way, but don't pretend like you're oppressed if you're doing that. That's
I'm
all.
out of time. I'm oppressed because I'm out of time.
That's pretty gay. It's very
That is
Pride
gay.
Month of you.
It's super gay.
We are in MAGA month now, Craig. Give your final thoughts on Donald Trump 2024. How do you feel? Joe Biden, we probably should have talked about. He's talking about running again, and the Democrats are laughing in his face.
Joe Biden doesn't know where he is or what he's running for.
I have a theory. I think Joe Biden is secretly trying to get out of being president.
Probably.
He keeps coming out and giving subtle hints like, they made me read this. They told me I couldn't answer these questions.
Oh,
they
funny.
this, that.
Yeah.
He's reading the script saying, I'm going to run in 2024, but secretly he's kind of like, help,
Super gay.
help, guys.
Yeah, he's like crying. It's a cry for help. The fact that Hillary Clinton stepped down because she said Biden was the one to take on Donald Trump in 2024, that was weird to me.
Kind of beautiful.
It was.
Thinking about Hillary Clinton right now, knowing that Joe Biden is the one that beat the guy that she couldn't beat.
Yes. And then the fact that Donald Trump is running in 2024 sounds terrifying to me too, because like it's going to happen again. It's just going to be either Biden and Trump 2024 or Hillary and Trump 2024. There's no
good.
There's no original
good outcome.
Well, there's no original thought anymore.
Right, it's just the Disney reboot
Yes.
of the 2016 election. Or the 2020 election.
That's all I got. So I got to go.
All right. Well, Craig, thanks for
It's
being
been
here.
great.
Happy
Yeah.
4th of July.
Happy
Tell everyone
fucking
where they
4th
can
of July.
find more information. I think you have a website
I do
at
have a
URL now that you can plug.
I
without
believe
leading
so.
to me.
I believe my website, if it hasn't been taken down by some hackers, and my holes haven't been plugged yet, is at on the interwebs at breakthebellpod.com. I think.
Nice. I like that confidence.
My podcast is called the Break the Bell Podcast. Go check it out because it's way better than this fucking podcast, and
Agreed.
we are way smarter and more
Can't confirm
intelligent.
because I haven't watched it, but I hear
Yeah.
good things.
And Shannon says we're better. So.
Thank you, Sharon.
And I call her by her legal birth name.
It's very forward-thinking, very progressive of you
Yes,
to be humble enough to call a woman by her
her birth name.
God-given birth name. Sharon, thanks for watching, and all 15 of the rest of you,
Yes,
which is 3 times as many as Craig's.
that's true.
Thank you
That's
for
fair.
watching.
But
This has been
Shannon
fun.
is watching me.
That's right. Go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/the system is down, and you'll get more of this awfulness next time. Craig, goodbye, and happy 4th to you, sir. Well, that happened, and now we're here together. I had so much more to talk about, but I guess we're supposed to do like family things and stuff because it's the 4th of July. Celebrate our independence. And I do. As far as patriotism goes, I do certainly celebrate our independence. Because as much as I bitch and complain about how oppressed we are, or how unideal this society is, it could be a whole lot worse. And it would definitely be a whole lot worse if we didn't have our independence. So celebrate your Independence Day. Hug your children while you still can. And celebrate, because we are independent. And the only thing I'm looking for on this Independence Day is to have independence, like without the quotations, like liberty, freedom, and the right to do what you want. Like I don't know, do drugs on your front porch and not have the cops arrest you. Like, that's really the moral values that I'm looking to push on this. Those are my patriotic values. If I could tell you one thing, leave you with one thing here. You want to push patriotism? Patriotism is liberty. Patriotism is embracing your individuality. So patriotism is doing whatever the fuck you want, as long as it doesn't impede on somebody else's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I suppose even the pursuit of happiness is a little bit up in the air, because if your liberty is like, I'm going to open a weed store and there's a conservative next door who's like, that's impeding on my happiness, like, well, you had the pursuit. You can pursue it somewhere else. So you get what I'm saying, I think. Maybe not. Maybe I'm rambling. I definitely am, but maybe you're making some sense of it. But Independence Day is about freedom, and freedom is good. And to that, I'm patriotic. So go out and celebrate your independence, whether it be waving a red, white, and blue flag, or waving an upside-down red, white, and blue flag. Yeah. Here we are, at a campground, doing that, because we're journalists, and nothing says Independence Day like journalism on a porch, drinking a beer with your brother. Sign up for the Downers Club at patreon.com/the system is down, and I'll see you guys sometime. I don't know when this is coming out. I've got 3 episodes in the can now. I don't know when they're coming out, but whenever you listen to this, happy 4th to you. May God bless you, and God bless this great nation of ours. May God make it better. And for the love of God, help us all. Good night. Good luck. Question everything. Stay uncomfortable. I'll talk to you next time. Peace out. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/thesystemsdown for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.